That is a term you hear all over the news, but what exactly is an FTA? More precisely, what is the ROK-Mexico FTA? Let's find out. What is an ALC? Theoretically, FTA stands for Free Trade Agreement and is a pact between two or more nations to reduce barriers to imports and exports among them. FTA is called Acuerdo de Libre Comercio in Spanish. If one nation signs this agreement, goods and services can be bought and sold across international borders with little or no government tariffs, quotas, subsidies, or prohibitions to inhibit their exchange. The process begins as a Free Trade Agreement Committee reviews the feasibility of concluding an ALC with a specific country or region and establishes a basic strategy. The initiation of ALC negotiation is decided at the Economic Ministers meeting. In this process, when the Free Trade Agreement Committee wishes to request a meeting for deliberation and decision-making on specific ALC negotiations, it is required to hold a public hearing in advance and submit the results to the Economic Ministers meeting. As the negotiation begins, the negotiation proposal, the progress of the negotiation, and the final negotiation proposal are reported to the Ministers meeting for consideration and resolution. In addition, important matters in negotiations are reported to the National Assembly and frequently explained to interested parties and the public to collect their opinions. History of the ROK-Mexico ALC. Korea and Mexico have originally had an ALC in the past, up to 2008 when it was stopped. However, talks have been coming up to the table about re-signing the ALC. Let's take a look at why many economists believe that the ROK-Mexico ALC will be re-signed in the near future. Why is the possibility of re-signing the ROK-Mexico ALC high? Currently, the ROK-Mexico ALC is expected to be compromised for a number of reasons, and the most predominant reason is that the growing scale of both economies reflects a more explicit benefit that overrides the drawbacks. South Korea has been expressing a positive outlook for this ALC, while Mexico showed caution for the potential damage that could be done to their domestic market. However, the benefit of contracting the ALC has risen to a point that exceeds the drawbacks. Also, ALC holds several socio-economic benefits if it's successfully compromised. First, ALC raises the competitive advantage of the major export products. The exported goods become cheaper as the tariffs are removed. Therefore, the exported products gain competitiveness in the customer market. This subsequently leads to a higher trade surplus. Second, ALC allocates an effective use of resources for both sides. The implementation of quality products at appealing prices enriches the population and the enterprises. Lastly, compromising on ALC accelerates the consequential broadening of the marketplace in that region. This leads to more routes entering the web of the global market. One past example that reflects the benefits over the costs is Japan-Mexico's Trans-Pacific Partnership. This partnership has mutually benefited Mexico's private sector's investments and innovation since 2005, according to their 8th meeting for bilateral political consultations. Similarly, these benefits are existent and have grown in scale with Korea to Mexico. Therefore, the re-signing of South Korea and Mexico's ALC remains plausible. Characteristics of each country's ALCs, ROK ALCs. Korea signed 17 ALCs with 57 countries and is continuously making new agreements with developing nations. Because more than 80% of South Korea's GDP consists of international trade, ALC is vital for Korea's economic success. Korea's ALC is not just limited to physical products. It consists of various fields such as service, intellectual property, and investing. Now, let's take a look at the past cases. The first case is the Korea-US ALC. Both countries abolished tariff walls for most of the products except rice and applied grace periods for meat and other products that might impact the domestic markets. The second case is the Korea-Chile ALC. Rice, apples, and pears were excluded, polyethylene and automobile parts were given gradual tax abolition, and some agricultural products such as peppers, garlic, and onions were also temporarily excluded since they had to be first discussed in the Doha Development Agenda. The third case is the Korea-India ALC. India abolished reduced tariff walls for 85% of its products, and Korea abolished reduced tariff walls for 93% of its products. Characteristics of each country's ALCs. Mexico's ALCs. How about the case of Mexico? Currently, Mexico has 13 free trade agreements with 15 countries, including USMCA and the European Union, European Free Trade Area, Japan, Israel, 10 countries in Latin America, and the 11-country Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Mexico is a member of the Pacific Alliance, a trade bloc formed by Mexico, Chile, Colombia, and Peru in 2011. One specific case is the Mexico-NAFTA, which was enacted in 1994. It is remarkable that Mexico is the United States' third largest trading partner and the second largest export market in the world. The United States sold $265 billion worth of products to Mexico and $34 billion in services. Another case is the Mexico-Chile ALC. It includes provisions on national treatment and market access for goods, services, rules of origin, safeguards, agriculture, sanitary and photosanitary measures, investments, air transportations, telecommunications, and so on. The last case we shall present is the Mexico-European Union ALC. Signed in 2000, it was first made to utilize market access for both sides. In June 2015, the two parties shared the negotiation process for a new, modernized version of the original ALC.
Comparison between ROK ALCs and Mexican ALCs. Diplomatic relations. Diplomatic relations are also one of the reasons why the ROK Mexico ALC is likely to happen in the near future. Now, you may be wondering, diplomatic relations are, well, more diplomatic, and ALCs are all economic. What's the relationship here? Well, free trade is known to be a universal token of trust between countries. The European Union even chose to select free trade as one of its founding principles. ALCs also do not do well under hostile relationships. Take the Taiwan-Panama ALC, for example, which was suspended after diplomatic disconnection occurred between the two nations because Panama refused to recognize Taiwan as an independent country. Now, how about the diplomatic relationships of our two countries? Let's start from the beginning. During the Korean War, Mexico was a donor, providing supplies to Korea. It is also known that a large number of Mexicans participated in the war under the name of the US military. Many decades later, Korea and Mexico continue their friendly relationship, for Mexico is the current largest Latin American trader for Korea. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has further strengthened the relationship between nations. The Republic of Korea and Mexico have participated in the Digital Nations Ministerial meeting together. MICTA, a national consultative body with the ROK, Mexico, Turkey, Australia, and Indonesia as its members, announced the joint statement of COVID-19 at the UN Council. In August of 2020, Korea provided $50,000 worth of COVID-19 diagnostic equipment and kits to Mexico. In October of the same year, Mexico participated in the development of 2 COVID-19 treatments by Korean pharmaceutical companies. We can see here that the bond between these two countries is strong, and it seems like it has no intention of getting any weaker anytime soon. Predicted future influences of the ROK Mexico ALC. It is now hard to ignore the real benefits of establishing an ALC between Korea and Mexico over the excuse of protecting the domestic market. Mexico's negative public opinion on building an ALC with South Korea is decreasing as the need for internationalization accelerates. Thus, their ALC is expected to make progress, if slow, to address South Korea's dependence on overseas agricultural imports and Mexico's need to enter overseas markets. Mexico's proposal for an ALC shows that diplomatic relationships between Korea and Mexico have progressed compared to the past, regardless of the establishment of an ALC between the Republic of Korea and Mexico. We hope this video has successfully provided some insights into the ROK Mexico's Acuerdo de Libre Comercio. Signing out!